Estamos en calle Tense 75, en Madrid, o en nuestras 6 delegaciones por España. Ven a vernos o visita vaughantienda.com. Vaughan, learn English.
Somos los de Vaughan. Esto es Vaughan Radio.
Life is full of contradictions. We love someone, but we argue with them. We crave change. We want change. We look forward to changing or to changes. Yet resist it, we resist it. So today we are diving into those fascinating times and situations where two things are true, even when they go in opposite directions. Welcome to Speaking with Confidence. Today's episode is all about expressing contrast. Today's episode is all about connection. Through connectors, of course, conectores, that are going to allow us to say yes, but in a sophisticated and fluent English. Get your notes, guys. Get your coffee, your curiosity. This is just about to start.
Speaking with Confidence with Gretchen.
So language. Language is all about connections. We use it to connect thoughts, ideas, emotions, stories, experiences, and of course, to connect with each other, right? It's all about connection. But there is something even more fascinating, and that is the way we connect ideas in English. And one of the many ways we have is using linkers, connectors, conectores. So today's show is a celebration of that, a celebration of, let's say, connections. Because actually, guys, let's be honest, life isn't always black or white. Sometimes we love something, even though it drives us crazy, right? Or we succeed despite challenges. And we keep just going. We keep going, nevertheless, right? So let's explore how to express those contrasts, how to connect those ideas, those contrasting ideas, contrasting thoughts, contrasting feelings, mixed feelings, emotions. But not just with but, right? I love the weather. I love dancing, but I don't go dancing often. I like chocolate, but I rather not eat it. Not just with but, guys. We have but actually I think we overuse but. I think he's a bit tired, so we have to give it a little bit of a rest, because we have so many other connectors that are going to help you to express that contrast, right? So we have a whole range of connectors that help us speak more precisely, more naturally, sometimes in a more formal way, and more humanly, let's say. So why does it matter? Why does it matter to use these connectors? Because we need contrast. We need contrast to sound. We need these connectors to sound natural, nuanced sometimes, and real in English. So what are the big guys in today's show? So we have connectors, guys. We have although and even though. Of course, you know these although and even though kind of synonyms. I'll go into details about them in a little while. So although and even though, however, nevertheless. Let's say we are going to work in pairs, or maybe in a. Let's say these guys are siblings. Although near synonyms, let's say near synonyms, right? Plisonyms, or let's call them siblings. So although, even though, you have however, nevertheless, they oftentimes walk together. Then we have the family of despite, in spite of the fact that, despite the fact that, right? And that's it. That's what we are going to work. Those are the guys we are going to explore. We are going to get to know in today's show, and I think that's going to be enough, guys, right? So what about analyzing only one sentence, the same sentence? Let's take the example of I don't know, the rain. It's raining, I'm going out. That's it. It's raining, but I'm going out. Kind of contrasting, right? Normally when it rains, you stay in. But what if you go out? It's a bit like, it expresses a little bit of a surprising thing to do. It's raining, I'm going out. It's raining, but I'm going out. All right. What about saying, although it's raining, I'm going out? Or I'm going out even though it's raining. Another way to say it is let's say I'm going out, or it's raining, however I'm going out, or I'm going out, nevertheless it's raining, right? So from one single sentence, guys, you can change it. You don't change the meaning, but you change the way you express that sentence. It could be because of you want to make it more formal, you're giving a presentation, maybe you are writing an essay, un ensayo, and you want to sound more natural. Or you're just speaking with a friend, and you can say, I'm going out, it's raining though, right? That's another one that's one I left out, though. That's it. That's what today's show is all about, guys. So before let's say digging into this language, let's go with context side. Let's go first, focus on the meaning. Let's first focus on real stories, or stories that sound real, so that you get the feel of what it is, having these guys, these connectors in everyday language, right? Let's bring these guys, these structures to life before getting in depth about language. Okay. The first thing I'm going to share with you guys here is something of my own journey, experience of my own. So dancing, I love dancing. Even though I don't go out dancing often, I think I have shared this with you in previous episodes. I haven't been dancing in a while because I've been busy or I've been tired. Even though I love dancing, right? Or I could say I have a friend who is, she's terrified of flying actually, but she has to travel. She has to travel often on business. So guess what? If she goes to Portugal, so sometimes she has to fly on a Sunday and be there ready to attend a meeting on Monday at 8 a.m. So the car is not ideal. So she flies. She has to fly. She doesn't have another option. So although she's terrified of flying, she travels a lot on business trips, right? That's a friend of mine, someone I know. Then I could talk about my friend, another one who works from home. Most of the time he works from home. However, and maybe guys, that another something important to bear in mind here when you use connectors is that there is this let's say idea of notion of subjectivity, right? It's quite subjective. You can use connectors, for example. However, my friend, so he works from home. However, he still wears proper shoes to feel productive. Maybe you don't see the point, and then that connector won't make sense to you, but it makes sense in the context of my friend. He works from home. However, he still wears proper shoes to feel productive. He actually puts on his outfit as if he were going to work from the office. And that's it. Now, the rain, going back to the rain, despite the rain, we had an amazing picnic. It rained last weekend, and despite the rain, we had an amazing picnic. That's it. You're expressing surprise something, you're expressing contrast through the use of connectors. So that's it. Now, let's go real. Let's tap into real situations, experiences with clear, let's say, emotional contrast to give you the feel of this, to continue giving you the feel of these connectors. Let's take the example of, let's say, Michael Jordan. As you all know, he's considered one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Yet he was cut from his high school basketball team in his early years. Can you believe that? So despite that rejection, he didn't give up. He could have given up, right? But he didn't. So he trained harder, and guess what? Well, we don't have to guess. We know he came back stronger. That's contrast, guys. That's contrast. I'm telling the story of Michael Jordan, and I'm connecting ideas through contrast because it's contrasting. So let's say failure followed by greatness. right? Is I guess part of what makes his story so powerful. That's it, guys. So I used another connector here that we are not going to work in today's show. That's yet. But I used despite. Yeah, despite the rejection he had, he didn't give up. He didn't give up, even though he was rejected, or he was, even though there was a rejection. That's Michael Jordan. Now, let's go now. Let's continue exploring other stories, maybe not real ones, but yet meaningful ones. Let's say Emma. Emma is a brilliant stage actress in London. And although she thrives under the spotlight, yeah, she thrives, florece el foco, bajo la mirada de todos, right? Although she thrives under the spotlight, she is painfully shy in real life. Yeah, so on stage, she's like this apparently extroverted person. She's very talkative. She just shines. She thrives under the spotlight. Yet, she's painfully shy in real life. So although she thrives, she's shy. Although she thrives under the spotlight, she's shy. So she once said that she prefers talking to 300 strangers in a theater than making small talks at a dinner party. That's it. It's a fascinating contradiction. Someone who lives on, let's say, expressing emotion or conveying, passing on emotions on stage. Yet she struggles with everyday conversations, right? So I used here, although yet, but I could have used some others or the same ones in another way. Even though she thrives under the spotlight, she's painfully shy in real life, or despite her ease on the stage, she's painfully shy in real life. Yeah. So from the same situation, we can use the same connectors just by making a few small yet important changes. Now, another story I have for you. This is Carlos. Carlos always loved painting. However, when he finally enrolled in art school, he found it challenging. He found it boring. He said that there were too many rules, too much theory. So he dropped out, abandonó. He dropped out and started his own studio. And let's say now his work is in galleries across Europe. So you could say, let's go with contrast here. On the one hand, education is important. On the other hand, sometimes breaking away opens the real door to success, right? Or you could say, he really wanted to enroll in art school. However, he dropped out a few months later. There we go, guys. Now another example. Let's say let's go into the context of traveling. Yeah, travelers. Let's say Julia. Julia has visited 42 countries. Wow, amazing. She's posted on, of course, let's say on Instagram. She has posted breathtaking photos from Morocco, Chile, Patagonia, etc. Now, in spite of her adventures, she always misses her grandma's cooking. In spite of having visited so many countries, trying so many different dishes, having met so many beautiful, amazing people, she always misses her grandma's cooking. She always misses her friends, etc. Could it be contrast? I guess it is. So actually, she's, let's say, despite wanting to be away all the time, at the same time, she's a bit homesick, nostalgica, right? So she once said, I've eaten sushi in Tokyo and tapas in Barcelona, but nothing compares to my abuela's arroz con pollo. There we go. So you can use in spite of, but, however, whichever the connector you feel fits better here, guys. So now time to go deep into this language, guys. So let's go one by one, one set at a time. The first one, although, even though, and though. Although, even though, kind of synonyms, right? The only, I would say, perhaps the only difference here is that even though is used to be is used when you want to be more emphatic, you want to convey more emphasis, or maybe more, it's a more dramatic situation. For example, let's say we say, well, her son is sick. Her son is seriously sick. Even though her son is seriously sick, she doesn't take him to the hospital. That could be that would be the example for you to see when to use even though and although. So even though we use it to give it more emphasis, or it's a more dramatic situation, but we use them interchangeably. Yeah, although and even though. Now, though, right? Example here, I love dancing. But I don't go dancing much, though, right? So though is at the end of the sentence, right? We use though at the end of the sentence, and normally we use though in speaking. Yeah, we don't normally use them in writing. And then the position of although and even though, always at the beginning of the sentence or at the beginning of the clause. So although I love dancing, I don't go out. I don't do it often. Or I love dancing, even though I don't do it often. There we go. That's it. The set of although, even though, and though. Next one, guys. Here, let's go with another example. Let's say we say Peter is tired. However, he's tired. However, he's still going out tonight. I'm going to change here. I'm going to change it for the sake of explanation. So let's say I say, yes, Peter. So Peter is going out tonight. However, he's tired. Or I could say he's tired, nevertheless, he's going out. So again, guys, however, nevertheless, synonyms, we use them interchangeably as well. If you ask me what the difference here is, I would say that, well, nevertheless is more formal. Definitely, nevertheless is more formal. And then, if you want to be picky about language, then you would use, however, when the first sentence conveys kind of, has a positive connotation. Like, he's going out tonight. Okay, all good, right? There is nothing bad about going out, nothing that we can think of. So he's going out tonight. It's positive. There is a positive connotation. However, he's tired. Now, in the case of changing the order of the sentence, he's tired, that conveys kind of a negative connotation. There is something that is not quite positive, highly positive about it. He's tired, poor guy. Nevertheless, he's going out. That's it. That would be the difference between however and nevertheless. But as I said, you can. No one is going to tell you that you do it wrongly if you say he's tired, however, he's still going out. And there we go. That was however and nevertheless. Now, let's go with the last set here, which might be maybe let's say the most challenging, guys, but it won't be as challenging as soon as you notice, as soon as you get to know them, as soon as you sit with them and have something with them. Could be wine, beer, or a glass of water. Let's say despite, in spite of. Let's start with this one. So we have a set of 4 guys here. Despite and in spite of. And then the other guys would be despite the fact that, in spite of the fact that. Now, what's the difference? Despite, in spite of, same thing here, the same thing, yeah? Maybe you want to know how to use them both so you don't sound repetitive or tedious or monotonous in your speech. So you're going to dance between despite and in spite of, etc., right? The only difference here is in terms of form, not in terms of, there isn't that sort of difference as there is in the cases of although, even though, and however, and nevertheless. But despite is going to be followed by a noun or a gerund or, essentially a noun, Yeah, essentially a noun. Let me give you an example. So, despite a noun or a noun in a form of a gerund. So, despite her tiredness, let's go back to Peter. Despite his tiredness, he's going out. So, tiredness is a noun, sustantivo. Now, in spite of being tired, he's going out. So, both of them are going to be followed by a noun or a gerund, right? That's it. Now, in the case of despite the fact that and in spite of the fact that, of course, it's more formal. Normally, in everyday language, in your speech, you are not going to use unless you need to. Despite the fact that it's too long, guys. So normally in speech, the shorter the better, right? We save words, we save energy, we save time, we save saliva, we save everything. So it's a win-win. So despite the fact that you're going to use them in writing, you're going to use them if you need to give a presentation and you need to really get into that formal tone. But in terms of form, in terms of meaning the same, in terms of form, you would have to make the change. So despite the fact that he is tired, so you need the pronoun, the subject, the verb, and then the rest of the components. Despite the fact that he's tired, he's going out. He's going out tonight. Or in spite of the fact that he's tired, he's going out tonight. There we go. You have it. Something super important to bear in mind here. One of the mistakes learners often make is using despite with of, or despite the fact without that. So, despite, followed by the noun, in spite of, you need the preposition. All right, guys? There we go. Okay, now that we have really analyzed the language, we previously shared ideas, examples, experiences, stories, guys. Now let's go real. Let's get personal. I'm going to ask you questions and let's see. Feel free to come up with your answer. Say your answer out loud if you are working at home or you are driving, or just say them in your mind, guys. All right? Okay. First question I have for you is there anything you would still love to learn this year, although you're busy? And what is that something? Maybe you would love to learn how to cook something. Maybe you would love to learn how to use AI. Maybe you would love to learn how to dance, right? Although you're busy. So what are you doing about it, guys? Are you going to do it even though you're busy? Are you going to do it even though you don't have much time? There we go. Hope you will, guys. Hope you will. There we go. Next question. Well, yeah, I'll share some answers with you in a few seconds, guys. Now, the next one here is, what is something you push yourself to do regularly despite feeling tired or in spite of your tiredness? What is that something you push yourself regularly, every day, maybe every week, maybe every weekend, maybe every Monday, despite your tiredness? That's it. Maybe that something is you preparing dinner and having dinner with your family, even if it's late. Maybe it's 10 p.m. Maybe you finish working at 9. By the time you get home, it's half past 9. You are tired. You just feel like going to bed. You feel even like skipping dinner because you are horribly tired. Yet, guys, you make time to prepare dinner for your family, or to prepare dinner with your family, and you have dinner with them, and you chat with them, and you talk to them, even though you are just, guys, like falling asleep. That's it. That's something you do. That's something you push yourself. Well, it's a nice push here, right? You push yourself to do regularly despite feeling tired. There we go. In my case, what is something, Gretchen, you push yourself to do even though, despite feeling tired? I would say tidying up, organizar mi casa, right? Tidying up is something that even if I feel tired, despite feeling tired, that's something I do. Because if I don't, I feel I don't rest, I guess. I don't rest as nice as I would, when I know that everything is organized, everything, the groceries, I put away the groceries where they need to be put away, etc., etc. That's something I do, guys. All right. Okay, guys. So we will continue after the break, because guess what? It's already time for the break, right? So before we head into the practical part of today's show, guys, let's take a short break, yeah? But don't go anywhere. When we come back, it's your turn to put all these these connectors into practice.
Vaughan Radio Madrid 100.4 FM.
¿Otro invierno buscando maneras de que tus hijos aprendan inglés? Este año, prepárales para un verano que no olvidarán. En los campamentos Vaughan, tus hijos vivirán una experiencia 100% en inglés, deportes, aventuras y todo mientras aprenden sin darse cuenta. Porque aprender inglés jugando y disfrutando es aprender de verdad. Dale a tus hijos un verano lleno de confianza, amigos y mucho inglés. Vaughan Camps. Learn, laugh and live in English. Plazas limitadas. Apúntales ya.
Estas vacaciones mejora tu inglés con los cursos intensivos de Vaughan. Hoy aprenderemos Step by Step. Significa paso a paso. Así es como avanzarás. Nuestras clases son 100% orales, diseñadas para mejorar tu listening y speaking. ¿Sabías que fluency significa hablar con naturalidad? Eso es lo que conseguirás. Visítanos en grupovaughan.com/intensivos.
Vaughan Outlet. Hazte con libros y packs coleccionables de autoestudio como Objetivo Inglés, Vaughan Certified Completo, Speak English Now e Inglés en 10 pasos. Ahora con increíbles descuentos. Libros desde €1, novelas con audio desde €3.50, libros infantiles desde €3 y mucho más. Entra en vaughantienda.com, Vaughan Outlet. Aprende más, pagando menos, hasta agotar existencias.
¿Sabías que tener una certificación oficial de inglés abre puertas a nuevas oportunidades? De cara al verano, ¿te gustaría conseguir tu B1, B2 o C1 con Vaughan? Con nuestros cursos de preparación de exámenes del Oxford Test of English, con clases prácticas, simulación de exámenes y profesores expertos, te garantizamos que alcanzarás tu meta. Puedes elegir la duración del programa, Premium o Express, para adaptarlo a tu ritmo. No dejes pasar esta oportunidad de certificar tu inglés con los mejores. Ven a nuestra próxima convocatoria. Además, ahora el examen está incluido. Grupo Vaughan, tu futuro comienza hoy. Entra en grupovaughan.com.
Mommy, Daddy, these summer English books are so much fun.
¿Quieres que este verano tus hijos repasen inglés de forma divertida? Tenemos justo lo que necesitas. Llega Summer English. Listen, practice, learn. La nueva colección de cuadernos de Vaughan para niños de primero a sexto de primaria. Con juegos, gramática, vocabulario, audios y actividades online. Todo al más puro estilo Vaughan. Ya disponibles en vaughantienda.com y librerías seleccionadas. Este verano, aprender inglés será su plan favorito.
¿Buscas el impulso definitivo para tu inglés profesional? Con Master Plus de Vaughan lo tienes todo. 5 meses de clases intensivas en grupo con el Executive Master, más 5 meses adicionales de clases individuales one-to-one online, donde tú eliges el horario, el ritmo y el enfoque, gramática, conversación o lo que necesites. Master Plus es flexibilidad real para alcanzar fluidez profesional. Descúbrelo en grupovaughan.com/master.
En Vaughan sabemos que el éxito empresarial se nutre del dominio de múltiples idiomas. Por eso, ofrecemos cursos no solo en inglés, sino también en francés, portugués, italiano y alemán, entre otros. Visita grupovaughan.com o llama al 91 108 3488 y comienza a transformar el futuro de tu empresa hoy.
Encuentra todos los libros de nuestros presentadores de radio en las tiendas Vaughan o en vaughantienda.com.
Escúchanos en cualquier momento y en cualquier lugar. Descarga la app de Vaughan Radio.
You are listening to Everyday. Listen to Vaughan Radio. You're listening to Vaughan Radio.
Tune in every day.
Vaughan Radio.
Speaking with confidence with Gretchen.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Speaking with Confidence, guys. Hope you had a nice break. Okay, now it's time to, guess what? Now it's time to practice and get into the fun part. So we've heard stories of people expressing ideas, connecting ideas that are kind of, contradict each other, let's say. We've explored the structures, yeah? And now it's your turn. Now it's your turn to try them out. Yeah, whether you are, let's say, maybe walking through your daily life or just reflecting on how to, things that have happened to you and somehow it's like, oh, yeah, I did it, but I regret it now. I didn't tell her, right? So even though I didn't tell her, I know I should have, etc. Yeah, so you can just get your ideas, guys, express your ideas, get your idea across just by using these connectors and then make it more, let's say, vivid, more clearer, and sounding more natural, of course. So what you're going to do actually, guys, you're going to rephrase the sentences. I'm going to give you sentences. I'm going to tell you about people's situations, people doing things, or the things they are going through. And I'm going to use, guess what? I'm going to use the one we use most of the time, the most boring connector, let's say but. I'm going to give you sentences with but, and the idea is for you to send them back my way using the connectors, right? So remember, we explored although, even though, however, nevertheless, despite, in spite of, or despite the fact that, in spite of the fact that, but this one we are going to just leave them aside to use them for essays, making essays, writing essays, or giving presentations. Yeah, we are going to focus more on the ones we use more often. So let me give you some examples so that you can get the feel of this. So let's say the first one. She worked hard, but she didn't pass the test. Here you could say, even though she worked hard, she didn't pass the test. There we go. Another example. I love skiing, but I hate the cold. I could say, I love skiing, however, I hate the cold. Another example would be, it was raining, but we went out anyway. Despite the rain, we went out, or we went out anyway. He's tired, but he's going to the gym. He's tired, nevertheless, he's going to the gym. They didn't like the food, but they ate it. Although they didn't like the food, they ate it. Maybe they were very hungry. There you go. I was nervous, but I did the presentation. I was nervous. Oh, right, let me see. There we go. Despite my nervousness, let's say, even though if it sounds a bit formal, but it's a correct one. So, despite my nervousness, I did the presentation. Or in spite of my nerves, I did the presentation. What about this one? She doesn't earn much, no gana mucho, right? But she travels a lot. She doesn't earn much, yet she travels a lot. I don't like running, but I do it to stay healthy. Even though Even though I don't like running, I do it to stay healthy. There we go. All right, two last ones, guys, before sending you the task here. All right, the journey was long, but we enjoyed it. In spite of the long journey, we enjoyed it. Well done. And the very last one, he failed the test, but he didn't give up. That's it. He failed the test. Nevertheless, he didn't give up. Amazing, guys. You have enough examples here. I think you have enough context. Now, guys, it's your time. I'm going to give you the sentences, and I'll leave you some space for you to come up with the same meaning. Feel free to change. Maybe you feel like changing. I don't know. Maybe you feel like instead of using, let's say I say she was tired, but she watched the movie anyway. Maybe you feel like saying she was exhausted. Feel free to get synonyms or to change from adjective to nouns, or to change the order of the clauses. The only thing, guys, is not allowed to do here is to change the meaning. That's it. All right? And feel free to add information. Yeah? Be as creative as you can. Off we go. Let's go with this one. She was tired, but she watched the movie anyway. There we go. That's it. Maybe you can say, although she was tired, she watched the movie. There we go. Amazing, guys. Next one. He didn't have money, but he bought the pair of jeans anyway. Unos tejanos. He didn't have enough money. Sorry, he didn't have money, but he bought the pair of jeans anyway. Okay, of course you can say, although he didn't have money, he bought the pair of jeans anyway. What about one with despite, guys? That's it. You could say despite not having money, he bought the pair of jeans anyway. There we go. Well done. All right. They didn't have time, but they called her anyway. They didn't have enough time, but they called her anyway. All right. Yes. Despite not having time, they called her anyway. Even though they didn't have time, they called her anyway. There we go. They didn't have time. Nevertheless, they called her anyway. Well done. Or they called her. However, they didn't have time. Amazing, guys. Amazing. Well done. Next one. We don't like seafood, but we ate it anyway. There we go. Even though we don't like seafood, we ate it anyway. There we go. Although we don't like seafood, we ate it anyway. Despite, let's go creative here. Despite being allergic to seafood, I ate it anyway. Well done. Or we don't like seafood, nevertheless we ate it. Remember, you could say, of course, however, but if you want to be picky, you stick to the formula positive, negative, negative, positive. Guys, so remember, negative, we don't like seafood, right? Nevertheless, we ate it anyway. Well done. Okay, perfect. Next one, guys. Let's get into more. Let's go and visit other tenses. All right. He had already watched the movie. He wanted to see it. He wanted to see it with her anyway. Isn't that sweet? Yeah. He had already watched the movie. More than twice. He wanted to see it with her anyway. That's it. You could say, despite having watched a movie, he wanted to see it with her. Even though he had already watched a movie, he wanted to see it with her. There we go. Or he had already watched the movie. However, he wanted to see it with her anyway. Well done. Amazing. Awesome. Next one. She didn't know the meaning of the word, but she didn't ask anyway. She didn't ask for the meaning. She was too shy to ask for the meaning. That's it. Well done. She didn't know the meaning of the word. Nevertheless, she didn't ask the meaning anyway. Or, you could also say, you could also say, she didn't ask the meaning. She didn't ask the meaning of the word. However, she didn't know the meaning. There we go. Or although she didn't know the meaning of the word, she didn't ask anyway. Well done, guys. Next one. The food was salty, but he added more salt anyway. That's it. Even though the food was salty, he added more salt anyway. Although the food was salty, he added more salt anyway. Despite the salty food, right, guys? Remember, despite, if you are going to use despite, you need to, it needs to be followed by a noun or a noun phrase, right? So despite the salty food, he added more salt anyway, right? Or in spite of the salty food, he added more salt anyway. Well done, amazing. Next one, guys. It was about 30 degrees, let's say yesterday. Well, I guess it was more than 30 degrees yesterday. But let's stick to this example. It was 30 degrees outside, but he wore a jacket anyway. Let's start with despite. There we go. Despite, how would you rephrase it here? It was about 30 degrees. You will have to make some changes here. So, despite the heat, a pesar del calor, right? Despite the heat, he wore a jacket anyway, right? Or in spite of the heat, he wore a jacket anyway. Or even though it was 30 degrees outside, he wore a jacket anyway. Well done, guys. In case you are writing an essay, in case you are giving a presentation, in case you are writing an email, all right, you can use the long one, the long sentence here, the long way here would be to say, in spite of the fact that it was 30 degrees outside, he wore a jacket anyway, or despite the fact that it was about 30 degrees outside, he wore a jacket anyway. But we are going to keep it simple, guys. We are just exploring the connectors we can use in everyday speech. All right, next one. No one was coming for dinner. No one was coming over for dinner, but they decorated the table anyway. That's it. Although no one was coming for dinner, although no one was coming over for dinner, they decorated the table anyway. Right? Or despite the fact that no one was coming over for dinner, they decorated the table anyway. Or despite not having anyone coming for dinner, they decorated the table anyway. Amazing, guys. All right, let's wrap up. Let's go with two last ones. Next one is here. It wasn't dark outside, but she switched on the light anyway. It wasn't dark outside, but she turned on, only that she had a switch, un interruptor, right? So she switched on the light anyway. There we go. Even though it wasn't dark outside, she switched on the light anyway. What about, guys, using despite or in spite of? How can you shift here? What are the changes you can make here? That's it. Despite, let's say, despite not being dark outside, she turned on the light anyway. Or you can also say, despite, in spite of the beautiful lit day, let's say, she switched on the light anyway. Well done. All right, guys, and the last one would be, she was sick, but she didn't take the medication anyway. All right, of course, although she was sick, she didn't take the medication anyway. You can also say, of course, remember you can change the position of although, even though. So in this case, how would you do it? She didn't take the medication, although she was sick. There we go. Right? So you can switch here, guys, although from the beginning of the sentence to the beginning of the other clause, right? So although she was sick, she didn't take the medication anyway, or she didn't take the medication, although she was sick. Remember, it has to make sense, yeah? Or you can say, despite her sickness. Remember, you can't say despite she was sick. So despite her sickness, you need to use a noun. Despite her sickness, she didn't take the medication. Or in spite of her sickness, she didn't take the medication. Amazing. Well done, guys. Amazing. Well done. Okay. What about we go next? Guess what's coming next? Now you're going to do, guys, is not only a rephrasing activity. Now you're going to use all your knowledge and you're going to do the whole thing. I'm going to give you sentences in Spanish. What I need you to do is to go into English, of course. As an example, if I say voy a ir a pesar del tiempo, that's it. I'm going to go in spite of the weather. That's it. Or I'm going to go despite the weather. Well, the thing is, voy a ir a pesar del tiempo, it is implied, voy a ir a pesar del mal tiempo, right? I'm going to go in spite of the weather, I'm going to go despite the weather. Amazing, well done. Next one. Voy a verle a él a pesar de tu opinión. That's it. I'm going to see him despite your opinion. There we go, well done. Next one. Voy a ir a pesar de que está lloviendo. That's it. I'm going to go in spite of the fact that it's raining. So another way we have to say, let's say a shorter way, guys, would be, I'm going to go despite the rain. The same in Spanish, right? Voy a ir a pesar de que está lloviendo. Another way, a shorter way would be, voy a ir a pesar de la lluvia. Same thing in English, I'm going to go despite the rain. Next one. Voy a verle a él a pesar de que estás en contra de la idea. That's it. I'm going to see him despite the fact that you're against the idea, despite the fact that you don't agree. Well done. All right. What about the next one here? That is, aunque me gusta el vino, no suelo beberlo a menudo. That's it. Although I like wine, I don't usually drink it, or I don't drink it often. Well done. Well done. Next one. All right, let's see. The next one would be, guys, right. Lo haré a pesar de que no están de acuerdo. Kind of long, I know. Yeah. So I'll do it in spite of the fact that they don't agree. But how can we make it kind of how can we go another way, guys, to go in a more natural way, even in Spanish? So lo haré a pesar de que no están de acuerdo. But in English we have another choice here. That's it. I'll do it in spite of their disagreement. Yeah, they don't agree. So I'll do it in spite of their disagreement. Yeah. All right. Next one here. All right. Lo haremos a pesar de que no hay dinero. That's it. We'll do it despite the fact that there isn't any money. There we go. We'll do it despite the fact that there isn't any money. There we go. Lo haré a pesar de todo. I'll do it in spite of everything. Well done. Aunque es muy viejo, let's say the car, el coche es todavía muy, aunque es muy viejo, es todavía, aunque es muy viejo, es todavía, funciona muy bien. Algo again. Aunque es muy viejo, funciona muy bien. That's it. Although it's old, it's still working properly. There we go. Next one, guys. Next one. I'm just trying to make it meaningful here. All right. There we go. Let's go with this one. All right. Okay. Let's go with this one, guys. Lo hago por ellos, aunque no me pagan. That's it. I do it for them, even though they don't pay me. Well done. Aunque, let's say, Barcelona es preciosa, prefiero Madrid. That's it. Although Barcelona is beautiful, I prefer Madrid. Well done. Next one. All right, next one. Yo no lo haría aunque significara el perder mi empleo. Right, I'm not playing fair here, guys, because this one is a connector I haven't explored in today's show, which is even if, but that's coming soon this week. So, yo no lo haría, aunque significara el perder mi tiempo, right? El perder mi empleo, sorry. So, I wouldn't do it, even if it meant losing my job. Well done, guys. Amazing. Okay, so, last but not least, as I almost always do, let us go into that personal space where I'm going to ask you questions, and let's see, guys, what comes to mind, right? Feel free to say them out loud. Feel free to say them in your mind, because I'll be sharing some of these answers with you. All right, the first one is, guys, hiking. In the context of hiking, imagine you feel like going hiking this weekend. You prepare everything, you arrange the plans with your friends, you even go to the shops, you buy whatever the items you need, and then you check the forecast and you see that there is some rain coming. My question is, will you go hiking even though it's supposed to rain this weekend? I wouldn't. Let me go back to this question, right? Would you go hiking even though it rained this weekend? I wouldn't, guys. In my case, I wouldn't. If I'm making plans, if I make plans to go hiking, and then even if I buy everything and then all my friends are waiting for me, etc., if I check the forecast and I know it's going to rain, I guess I wouldn't go hiking, even though, right, let's see if it makes sense. Would you go hiking if it rained this weekend? Even though it rained this weekend? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't go hiking, even though it rained this weekend. What about you? There we go. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. Now, next one. In the context of the gym, working out, yeah, keeping fit, keeping yourself fit. You go to the gym every day, you go to the gym every evening, or every 2 days, or every, let's say, or 3 times a week. And today is gym time. So you finish work and then you go home, or maybe you go directly to the gym. The fact is that you slept terribly last night. Would you go to the gym? Or are you going to the gym even though you slept today, right? Are you going to the gym even though you slept terribly last night? In my case, I think, if it's my case, guys, yes, I'm going to the gym even if I slept terribly last night, because it keeps me in this nice vibe. It's difficult for me to get there, but then when I get there and then I start working out, then it's magic happens, right? Now, the next question I have for you here. Let's continue in the vein of tiredness. So you didn't sleep well, you slept poorly, but you need to study because you have an exam coming. Will you keep studying English this evening even though you feel tired? I guess you will. You will keep studying English, let's say this evening, even though you feel tired. Right. Now the next one, guys, let's go to the context of cooking. Let's go to the context of meals, cuisine, etc. Are you planning to cook dinner even though you are tempted to order takeout? Right. In my case, it depends. It depends on my mood. It depends on how tired I am. It depends it depends. I just need to get home and then realize whether I'm cooking dinner or not. But I might just cook dinner even though I'm tempted to order or to go out to a restaurant. All right. Now, guys, in the context of jobs, in the context of jobs, will you take a job offer, even if it means moving to another city? That's very personal. It depends. I guess it depends on the job. It depends on the city. It depends on your situation. It depends on many, many, many factors. There we go, guys. That's it. That is the exploration of language in today's show. So remember, expressing ideas. You have a lot of ideas to share. But guys, if you don't connect ideas, your speech becomes monotonous, becomes tedious, becomes boring, and then maybe you don't engage with your audience. So remember, in the context of connecting ideas, you have, of course, connectors, and you have connectors of contrast, and we explored some of them today, however, nevertheless, despite. So remember, make friends with them and use them as much as you can. This is Speaking with Confidence. A pleasure to have you here. See you next time.
Esto lo que oyes. You're listening to the right radio. You're listening to Vaughan Radio. You're listening to Vaughan Radio.
Estas vacaciones, haz un viaje para tu inglés. Con los cursos intensivos semanales de Vaughan, mejora tu inglés durante cualquier periodo vacacional. Navidad, Semana Santa, verano, tú decides cuándo. Una semana para mejorar tu fluidez. Gana confianza al hablar. Aprovecha tu tiempo libre al máximo. Y lo mejor es que puedes reservar tu curso desde ya para asegurarte tu plaza en el momento que prefieras. No dejes pasar la oportunidad de avanzar en tu inglés estas vacaciones. Entra en grupovaughan.com/intensivos y contrata tu semana intensiva hoy mismo, porque tu inglés también merece unas vacaciones.
Mommy, Daddy, these summer English books are so much fun.
¿Quieres que este verano tus hijos repasen inglés de forma divertida? Tenemos justo lo que necesitas. Llega Summer English. Listen, practice, learn. La nueva colección de cuadernos de Vaughan para niños de primero a sexto de primaria, con juegos, gramática, vocabulario, audios y actividades online. Todo al más puro estilo Vaughan. Ya disponibles en vaughantienda.com y librerías seleccionadas. Este verano, aprender inglés será su plan favorito.
¿Quieres mejorar tu inglés sin complicaciones? Vaughan Inglés 4.0 es el curso de inglés más completo en formato audio, con casi 600 clases desde cero hasta nivel avanzado. Paso a paso, donde y cuando quieras. Claro, práctico y eficaz. Gramática, vocabulario, pronunciación y sobre todo resultados. Busca nuestro podcast Vaughan Inglés 4.0 en iVoox.
Este verano, ¿quieres que tus hijos se diviertan, vivan 1000 aventuras y además ganen fluidez en inglés, rodeados de naturaleza y con los mejores monitores angloparlantes Vaughan? Tráelos a nuestro Vaughan Summer Camps, con cabañas, actividades acuáticas, multiaventura, nuevos amigos y entornos increíbles donde aprenderán a resolver situaciones cotidianas en inglés sin darse cuenta. Más de 3.000 niños viven nuestras inversiones cada año. Encuentra tu mejor Summer Camp sin salir de España. Contrata tu mejor camp.
Come to learn with us at Vaughan.
¿Te apuntas?
En Vaughan Town hay un antes y un después. El antes es inseguridad.